They invited my 1-year-old to my sister's wedding and told me to keep my 9-year-old autistic daughter at home. I said, "Noted. We won't be attending." 3 weeks later, their perfect lives started collapsing. If you'd walked into my house that spring, you would have thought we were preparing for a small royal coronation, not because we're royal, but because my family worships appearances like a religion. In the living room, my daughters were running social drills. Emma, 11, stood tall like she'd been cast on Broadway. She extended her hand toward empty air and practiced the kind of smile adults reward. "Nice to meet you," she said, crisp and confident. On the carpet, Lily, 9, careful, quiet, sat cross-legged with a sheet of paper folded into 4 neat squares. In pencil, she'd written rules like they were laws. Smile. Don't speak too loudly. Don't touch decorations. Ask, "Do you like flowers?" Lily didn't write those because she wanted to impress anyone. She wrote them because she needed to know the rules of the world before stepping into it. Lily is autistic. Not the stereotype people imagine: no tantrums for attention, no bad behavior. Just a nervous system that hears too much, feels too much, and sometimes speaks the truth too directly for adults who prefer soft lies. My younger sister, Ashley, was getting married to Daniel, the son of tech executive George Bennett. My parents had recently landed a business partnership with Bennett's company, and overnight the whole family started acting like this wedding was a doorway into a better class of people. Lily heard wedding and latched onto it like hope. A formal event meant rules. Rules meant safety. She asked me questions every day because she wanted to do it right. "Mom," she asked now, tapping her pencil, "what do I say if someone asks what I want to be when I grow up?" "Tell them the truth," I said. She frowned, serious. "The truth can be wrong. That depends on the person." Emma drifted by and offered, "Tell them you want to be a dragon." Lily didn't look up. "That is not an acceptable career." "It's a hobby," Emma said, and wandered off. Lily looked back at me. "What are the rules again?" That familiar squeeze hit my chest, the part of me that wanted to wrap her in bubble wrap and move us somewhere with fewer people and clearer expectations. "You say hello," I said. "You keep your hands to yourself. You don't touch the cake until they cut it." She nodded like I'd explained a legal contract and added a line, "No cake," before cutting. Then my phone rang. Ashley's voice was bright in that rehearsed way that means trouble. "Hey, quick question." There are harmless, quick questions, and then there are the ones that destroy something. "We finalized the guest list," she said. "We're keeping it tight, just to keep things smooth." Smooth, my family's favorite word when they mean controlled. "And obviously Emma can come?" Ashley added quickly. "But we all talked, and we think Lily shouldn't attend." For a second, my brain refused to process it. "What do you mean she shouldn't?" I asked. Ashley sighed like I was being dramatic. "It's a big wedding. There are important people. Daniel's family. Partners. If Lily gets overwhelmed or says something weird, it could be embarrassing. We just can't risk anything. Embarrassing." There it was. I stared at Lily's little rule sheet on the table. Her effort. Her hope. "You're not worried about her being overwhelmed," I said. "You're worried about optics." "That's not fair," Ashley snapped immediately, which is what people say when it's completely fair. "She's 9, I said. "She can sit with me. I'll take her outside if she needs a break. I will handle it." "Amanda," Ashley said, hardening, "this is one day for her. A lifetime of lessons for my child." I turned and Lily was standing in the doorway, paper bent in her fist, face carefully neutral. She'd heard enough. Lily didn't beg. She didn't promise to be quieter. She swallowed once and said, very small, "Okay." That okay was worse than tears. It sounded like practice, like she'd been rehearsing rejection her whole life. I ended the call without saying goodbye. A family group chat exploded immediately. Warnings, guilt, lectures, all of it performed in public. I didn't argue. I didn't write an essay explaining my daughter's humanity. I typed 2 words, "Noted." Then I added 1 sentence. We won't be attending. And as Lily folded her rules and slid them into a drawer with aching care, something in me went cold and clean. I stopped fixing them, and that's when everything began to break. I've been the oldest for as long as I can remember. Not in the cute helped pack lunches way, in the if something breaks, it's my job to fix it way. When my parents were stressed, I became small and easy. When Ashley wanted something, I learned how to give without being asked. Even after I moved out, I stayed the fixer. I hosted holidays, brought the dishes, checked in, smoothed over arguments, apologized for other people's behavior like it was a hobby. When Emma was born, my family went loud with love. Pictures, gifts, our first grandbaby. Then Lily came along, and the love got quieter, more conditional love that came with side notes and corrections. By the time the wedding call happened, Lily had already learned to watch adults the way she watched thunderstorms carefully, waiting to see where the lightning would strike. So when I sent that message, the replies hit fast, like a slot machine paying out guilt. Mom, Amanda, don't do this. Dad, this is one day. Be reasonable. Ashley, you're making it into something it isn't. Aunt Linda, think about what you're teaching your kids. They weren't asking how Lily felt. They weren't saying, we're sorry. They were demanding I fall back into place and keep the family story looking smooth. I didn't respond. Because Lily was at the counter, stacking her cards and folding her paper and closing the drawer very carefully, like loud emotions might shatter her. And I realized something terrifying and simple. If I fixed this, I would be teaching my daughter that her seat in the family was negotiable. So I didn't fix it. I chose her. And my family didn't understand that, not yet. My family liked to pretend Lily's autism was something we could manage if we tried hard enough, like it was a stain that needed better detergent. But Lily wasn't bad. She was different in ways that made adults uncomfortable, because adults love comfort more than truth. When she was 4, we went to a packed indoor play place. 10 minutes in, the noise hit her like a wall. Her hands flew to her ears, and she slid under a table, shaking. I crouched beside her and whispered, "Breathe with me." My mother stood over us and said, loud enough for strangers to hear, "Amanda, she's being dramatic." That was the first time I felt the snap inside me. The moment I realized my family didn't know the difference between overwhelmed and disobedient. After the diagnosis, I tried the polite route for years. I explained sensory overload. I packed safe snacks. I offered simple rules: don't grab her, don't shout in her face, don't tease her literal answers. They nodded. They smiled. They did nothing different. Emma understood without a lecture. At gatherings, she drifted toward Lily like gravity. If the room got loud, Emma steered her sister to a quiet corner. If an adult stared, Emma cracked a joke. If Lily got stuck mid-sentence, Emma gently bridged the gap and moved on. She protected Lily the way kids protect the people they love, quietly, constantly. My parents, meanwhile, started having important events. Dinners with clients, parties with partners, rooms where my mother wanted everything polished. At one of those, a man in a suit complimented Lily's dress. Lily answered honestly, "It's itchy," she said. "I hate it." The man blinked, smiled too tight, and turned away. Later, my mother pulled me aside and whispered, "This is exactly what I mean." "Exactly what?" I asked. Her eyes flicked toward the room like it was a stage. "We can't have that. It's embarrassing." Lily didn't hear the word, but she felt the shift anyway. On the drive home, she asked, very quietly, "Am I hard to bring places?" I nearly swerved off the road. "No," I told her. "You're not too much. The world is just loud." She stared out the window, absorbing it like data. So when Ashley's wedding became the center of our family universe, Lily latched on like it was proof she belonged. Formal events meant rules. Rules meant safety. She practiced for weeks, not because she wanted attention, because she wanted to get it right. And then my sister erased her with one phone call. That night, Lily came into my room in her soft pajamas. holding the folded rule sheet she'd hidden in the drawer. She sat on the edge of my bed and asked the question that drained the air from the room. Mom, do I make people tired? I pulled her close. You don't make good people tired, I said. Sometimes adults are scared of what they don't understand. That's about them, not you. Lily nodded once, slow, careful, like she was testing whether my answer could hold weight. Emma appeared in the doorway, climbed onto the bed without a word, and slid her hand into Lily's. Lily's shoulders loosened a fraction. The next morning, I sent Ashley a message with no extra words. We won't be attending. And then I made one quiet change. I stopped doing the work that kept my family comfortable. No more smoothing calls. No more they didn't mean it. No more hosting and translating and apologizing on behalf of grown adults. A week after the wedding, spring rolled in with its usual lies, bright sunlight, pretending nothing ugly happened. Every year, I hosted a spring brunch. It wasn't sacred tradition. It was just what I did, because I was always the one holding the family together with cheerful texts and extra chairs. This year, I messaged the usual circle cousins, aunts, the relatives who showed up with deviled eggs and opinions. I did not include my parents. I did not include Ashley. The chat stayed normal for 5 minutes. Then my mother barged in publicly because she always needed witnesses. Mom, are we not invited? Ashley, so first you skipped my wedding and now you're cutting us out of brunch? Dad, this is cruel, Amanda. My fingers hovered over the screen. The old reflex rose, smooth it over. Fix it. Then Lily looked up from her drawing, just watching my face like she was learning what truth costs. So I typed one message. 1. We didn't attend because you excluded Lily for being autistic and said you couldn't risk embarrassment. So no, you're not invited. We're done. I hit send and set the phone down. A few minutes later, my phone rang. Caller ID, Daniel. I stared at his name like it might change into something safer if I waited. When I answered, his voice wasn't angry. It was careful, like he was walking across glass. Hi, Amanda, he said. I'm sorry to call. I saw the messages. Okay, I replied. A pause. Breathing. Then, is it true? He asked quietly. Did they really tell you Lily couldn't come because they didn't want to risk embarrassment? My throat tightened, but I kept my voice level. Yes, I said. That's exactly what they said. And Lily is 9? He asked, softer, as if the number might make it less real. Yes. He didn't defend Ashley. He didn't try to reframe it as stress. He just went silent for a long moment. I didn't know, he finally said. I know, I answered, because I did. Daniel wasn't the one who used my child as a prop. Another pause. Then his voice dropped even lower. Thank you for telling me the truth, he said. He hung up before I could say anything else. I stood in my kitchen with my phone still pressed to my ear, staring at Lily's crayons on the table, Emma's homework spread beside them, ordinary evidence of a life my family treated as optional. Behind me, Lily's pencil scratched on paper. She was drawing a house with thick walls and a big front door. Emma leaned over her shoulder, pointing at the roof like they were planning something together. For a moment, I let myself believe the call was just a call, that it wouldn't matter, that the truth could sit on the table like a glass of water and not spill. But when you expose a family's favorite lie, it doesn't stay quiet. It starts breaking things. The next morning, someone tried to punch through my front door with their knuckles. Not a polite knock. Not a, can we talk? Pounding. Angry, frantic, rhythmic, like a countdown. Emma appeared in the hallway first, barefoot and alert. She didn't ask who it was. She just moved in front of Lily's bedroom door like she'd been practicing. Lily came out anyway, drawn by the noise. Her face was pale, her fingers twisted into the hem of her shirt. I opened the door. Ashley stood on my porch with red eyes and a jaw clenched so hard it looked painful. Her hair was shoved back like she'd done it in a hurry. She didn't say hello. She didn't glance at the kids. She went straight for the wound. What did you tell him? She hissed. Who? I asked, because I wanted her to say the name out loud. Nathan, she snapped, then corrected herself, furious at her own mistake. Daniel, what did you tell my husband? I didn't call him, I said. He called me. He asked if it was true. I said yes. Ashley's laugh was sharp and ugly. Of course you did. Of course you couldn't wait. I told him the truth, I repeated. She stepped closer. He left, she said, like the word offended her. He didn't come home last night. He said he needed space. He said he needed to think. Emma's hands curled into fists at her sides. Lily went very still. Ashley finally noticed them, really noticed them, and instead of lowering her voice, she got louder. Good, she snapped, eyes flicking toward Lily like Lily was an object on a counter. They should hear this. They should see what you've done. Something cold slid into place inside me. Ashley, I said, voice flat. Leave. She jabbed a finger toward my chest. You humiliated me. You made me look like a monster. You did that yourself, I said. You excluded your niece. We were protecting the wedding, she shot back. No, I said. You were protecting your image. Ashley surged forward like she wanted to push past me into my house. Her hand grabbed my arm hard, nails digging in. Emma stepped forward without thinking. Don't touch my mom, she said, steady and low. Stay out of it, Ashley snapped. Lily made a small sound barely audible, and Ashley rounded on her like that sound was an insult. This is exactly why, Ashley spat, and then froze, as if she realized she'd said the quiet part out loud in front of witnesses. Lily's face changed in an instant, the familiar shutdown, that awful retreat. Her gaze dropped, her shoulders folded inward. I didn't yell. I didn't throw words like knives. I just said, get out. Ashley's chest heaved. Her eyes flashed with rage and panic. For a second, I thought she might swing because entitlement does that when it's cornered. But she didn't. She stumbled backward, sobbing now, not with remorse, with fury that her life was wobbling. This is your fault, she spat, backing down my steps. You did this to me. I closed the door. Then I slid the lock. Easter, spring, brunch, whatever you want to call it, still happened at my house. Not because I was proving a point, because I refused to let Ashley's tantrums steal another day from my kids. I kept the curtains open. I kept the door locked. I let Emma hide eggs in the yard and Lily choose where she wanted to sit. No one stared at Lily like she was a problem to manage. No one whispered about handling her. For one day, it felt like peace might actually hold. Then, 4 days later, there was a knock again. Soft, polite. The kind of knock people use when they're trying to sell you something. When I opened the door, both my parents stood there wearing the smiles they save for clients. My mother held a container of cookies like it was a peace offering. My father's hands were in his pockets, shoulders lifted like he was trying to look harmless. Hi, Amanda, my mother said, voice syrupy. Can we talk? I didn't step aside. About what? Her smile twitched. We hate how things have been, she said. This has gotten out of hand. My father nodded too fast. We want to make it right. I waited. Silence is a useful tool when people are desperate. My mother's eyes flicked past me into my living room, checking for Lily the way someone checks for a stain on a white couch. There's concern, she said carefully, about the partnership. There it was. The real emergency. My father cleared his throat. They're reconsidering some things. Nothing is final, my mother rushed in. But George Bennett is upset. Daniel has been distant. It's all very complicated, but we think there's a way to fix it. I crossed my arms. Let me guess. The way involves me making everyone comfortable again. My mother laughed lightly like I'd made a joke and not a diagnosis. We're hosting a family dinner, she said. Everyone will be there. Ashley and Daniel. And Daniel's parents, George and Victoria. My father added. They want to clear the air. And you want us there? I said. My mother's smile widened, proud of herself. Yes, and we want Lily there too. We'll do whatever adjustments she needs. Quiet space, safe foods, breaks, whatever. It sounded rehearsed, like she'd written it down. My stomach tightened. Lily, They hadn't come to apologize. They'd come because their shiny new future was wobbling, and they needed me to hold it steady. "I'll think about it," I said. Relief flooded my mother's face too quickly, like she'd been sure I'd fold. After they left, I sat at the kitchen table with my girls. Emma didn't look thrilled. "It's a trap," she said, blunt as a hammer. Lily stared at her hands. "If we go," she asked quietly, "will they want me there?" That question hurt more than any screaming. "They say they do," I answered carefully. Lily's eyes lifted hopeful in that careful way that always made me want to cry. Not excited, not joyful. Hopeful like she was stepping onto thin ice. I agreed to go for one reason and one reason only. Because Lily deserved at least one moment where family didn't mean enduring. My parents' house looked like it had been staged for a magazine titled People Who Are Definitely Not Panicking. Everything was too clean, too bright. The air smelled like lemon cleaner and anxiety. My mother greeted us at the door with performative enthusiasm, talking a little too loudly, as if volume could rewrite the past. "Emma, Lily, look at you," she sang, then turned to me with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. "We set up the den for Lily. Quiet lighting. Her foods. See? We're learning." She said it like she expected applause for basic decency. Lily nodded, eyes down, clutching her small fidget in her pocket. Emma stayed close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Ashley was already there, wearing her new wife glow like armor. Her cheeks were puffy, her smile brittle. Daniel stood near the window, hands in his pockets, jaw tight. He didn't come over to hug anyone. He just watched, as if he was trying to decide what kind of people he'd married into. Then George Bennett arrived. He wasn't flashy. No entourage. Just a tall man with silver at his temples and eyes that missed nothing. Victoria Bennett followed him, elegant, quiet, the kind of person who could freeze a room without raising her voice. My parents practically levitated. George shook my hand, looked me directly in the face, and said, "Thank you for coming." It wasn't a performance. It was measured. Dinner began with the tense politeness of people sitting on a cracked surface pretending it's solid. My mother served food like she was auditioning for sainthood. My father laughed too loudly at nothing. Ashley kept glancing at Daniel, trying to get him to mirror her smile. Lily ate the safe foods my mother had arranged: plain pasta, sliced fruit carefully, like each bite needed permission. Emma ate quickly, then started quietly asking Lily about her drawing, keeping her anchored. For a few minutes, it almost worked. Almost. Then my mother stood up with her glass. "Of course she did. I'm just so glad we're all together," she said, voice syrupy. "Family is everything." My father nodded like a bobblehead. And my mother continued, turning her smile toward George and Victoria. "I want to clear something up. People don't always understand autism." My stomach dropped. My mother kept talking anyway, because she always believed the microphone belonged to her. "Sometimes Lily says things," she said, still smiling, "and people can be offended. We just didn't want that to happen at the wedding. We wanted everything to be perfect, but of course we love her in our own way." In our own way. A phrase that meant, in the way that costs us nothing. I watched Lily's shoulders pull inward. Her gaze dropped to her plate like she was trying to shrink in real time. Emma's hand slid under the table and found Lily's knee, a quiet anchor. My mother looked pleased with herself, like she'd just delivered a TED Talk called How to Exclude a Child Kindly. George Bennett set his glass down. The sound was soft, but it cut through the room like a blade. He leaned forward slightly and asked one question, calm as a knife. "Do you think Lily is lesser because she's autistic?" The room froze. My mother's smile stayed on her face half a second too long, then cracked. "No, of course not," she said too quickly. "It's just, people don't understand. We were trying to make it easier." George nodded once, like he was filing the answer away. Then he said, without drama, "I'm autistic." Dead silence. Ashley went rigid. My father blinked like his brain had stalled. My mother's mouth opened and found no sound. George didn't linger on the confession like it was a dramatic reveal. He spoke like someone stating his birthday. My whole life, he continued, people looked at me the way you just looked at her, like I was a risk, like I needed managing. So I learned to mask. I learned to blend. I got very good at it. Lily's head lifted slowly, almost against her will, because the man everyone in the room treated like royalty had just said autistic like it wasn't shameful. George turned to her. His voice softened, but it didn't turn sugary. Lily, he said, you are not lesser. You are not broken. You don't have to shrink to make other people comfortable. Lily stared at him wide-eyed, as if her brain was trying to process a new rule. Some powerful people tell the truth. You can do anything you want, George added. Anything. And when people try to make you smaller, that tells you something about them, not about you. Lily's chin lifted a fraction, like she was testing the shape of confidence. Then George leaned back and looked at my parents again. His tone went flat. And the partnership, he said, is not going to work. My mother's face drained of color. George, please. George stood. Victoria stood with him. Daniel stood too, not looking at Ashley. Nobody argued. Nobody negotiated. George didn't give my parents the dignity of a debate. He just left. The front door closed, and the silence that remained felt heavier than any shouting. Ashley's breath came quick and shallow, like panic had hands around her throat. My father stared at the table as if the wood might explain how to undo a disaster. My mother's cookies sat untouched, suddenly absurd. Lily didn't look down anymore. I reached for her hand. Emma was already at her side, and I did what I should have done a long time ago. I stood up, took my daughters, and walked out without saying a word, because the truth had finally been spoken by someone they couldn't dismiss. And they still didn't deserve a second chance to twist it. In the car, the girls were quiet at first. The streetlights slid across the windshield like waves. Then Lily whispered, "He said, I don't have to shrink." "No," I said, voice rough. "You don't." Emma exhaled a shaky laugh. "So basically," she said, staring out the window, "Grandma and Grandpa just got fired." I should have corrected her language. I should have told her to be respectful. Instead, I felt something like relief bloom under my ribs, terrible and clean. "Yeah," I said softly. "Basically." Lily held her fidget tighter, then asked, "Does that mean I was never the problem?" I reached back and squeezed her knee. "You were never the problem," I said. And for the first time in weeks, I meant it without fear. 6 months later, our house is quiet in the best way. No dread when my phone buzzes. No family group chat drama exploding at breakfast. No surprise family meetings, disguised as concern. Emma laughs like she's not on duty anymore. She still watches the world closely. She's an oldest child in spirit, but she's no longer braced for impact every time we see relatives. Lily doesn't flinch when the doorbell rings. She's still Lily, rule-loving, detail-obsessed, sometimes blunt in ways that make strangers blink. But she says what she thinks without staring at my face afterward like she's waiting to be punished for existing. And the best part? She's not alone anymore. A few weeks after everything, I found a small art club at the community center that advertised quiet, friendly sessions and actually meant it. The instructor didn't shame kids for wearing headphones. The room had softer lighting. The rules were written on the wall instead of whispered like secrets. Lily walked in, scanned the space like she was taking measurements, then sat down and started sketching immediately houses, bridges, staircases, the kind of structures that make the world feel stable. 2 girls her age slid into the seats beside her. One of them said, "Cool drawing," like it was normal, like Lily was normal. Lily blinked, then said, "Thank you. Do you like flowers?" It was one of her scripted questions, pulled straight from her old rule sheet. The girl smiled. "Yeah," she said. "Do you?" Lily paused, processing a question she hadn't rehearsed. Then she answered honestly. "I like them when they are quiet," she said. And the girl laughed, not mockingly, not loudly, just warm. That was the beginning. Now Lily has 2 close friends who text her memes and invite her to sit with them at lunch. She still needs breaks. She still hates scratchy fabric. But she isn't spending every ounce of energy trying to earn a seat at a table that keeps moving away. Recently, she told me she wants to be an architect. Not a dragon, not a joke, just herself. As for my family, the fallout arrived in pieces, delivered through other people like gossip served with shock. Daniel did move out. The night he called me wasn't a dramatic fight. It was the moment he finally looked at Ashley and saw what she was willing to do to be liked by the right people. A month later, he filed divorce. George Bennett didn't pause the partnership. He ended it clean. Final. The kind of cut you don't stitch back together. My parents tried to scramble. They begged. They blamed me. They attempted to spin it as a misunderstanding. But once Bennett's company pulled out, other partners suddenly reassessed priorities. Contracts dried up. Accounts closed. Calls stopped getting returned. The small business my parents had bragged about for years? Gone. The big house they loved showing off? Sold. Last I heard, they were renting a place across town and telling anyone who would listen that I destroyed the family. Which is funny, because I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped covering it up. I'm still no contact. Not because I'm a heartless person, but because I finally learned the difference between guilt and love. Sometimes I replay that day in my living room, the spring sunlight, Lily's folded paper, her tiny, okay. The way she accepted exclusion like it was a rule she'd missed in the handbook of being alive. And then I look at her now on the couch, phone in hand, smiling at a text from a friend, and I remember what peace feels like when you stop begging to be treated like family. Because family isn't the people who invite you when it's convenient. Family is the people who don't make your child pay the price for their vanity. The first month was the hardest, not because I missed them, but because my body kept expecting to be pulled back into my old role. My mother sent long texts that started with, "I'm sorry you feel this way," and ended with, "You're tearing the family apart." She wanted me to return to the script where I apologized, soothed, and made everyone comfortable again. One afternoon, Ashley showed up outside Lily's school at pickup time. Emma saw her first and stepped in front of Lily. "I just want to talk," Ashley said, eyes glossy. "Daniel's overreacting. Dad's business is suffering. Mom is sick with worry. Can't you just let it go?" I looked at Lily beside me, clutching her backpack straps, eyes fixed on the sidewalk like she was trying to disappear. "No," I said. "You don't get to use my child's nervous system as collateral for your reputation." Ashley's face twisted. "I said Lily could come to the dinner," she snapped. Wasn't that enough? That sentence told me everything. She didn't understand that inclusion isn't a favor you grant when it benefits you. It's the bare minimum of love. So I kept my boundary. I blocked numbers when I needed to. I stopped checking the chat. I stopped asking other relatives to, please understand. If someone wanted access to us, they had to respect Lily fully, consistently, not only when a powerful man was watching. How quickly the world got bigger once I stopped shrinking it to fit them surprised me. Emma joined a theater club and started making plans that didn't include babysitting family drama. Lily started unmasking at home. The first time she said, "That noise hurts," without adding, "Sorry, I had to turn away so she wouldn't see my eyes water." One night, months after the dinner, she found her old folded rule sheet in the drawer. The corners were worn from being handled so much. She held it up and read the lines out loud, then looked at me. "Those rules were for being safe," she said. "I know," I replied. She stared at the paper a long time, then asked, "Can I throw it away?" "You can," I said. "Or you can keep it as proof of how hard you tried." Lily considered that. Then she walked to the trash, tore the paper in half, and dropped it in like she was dropping a weight. Emma clapped softly like it was a ceremony. Lily didn't smile big. She rarely did big. But her shoulders eased, and that was enough. "So tell me what you think. Did I go too far? Or not far enough?" Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read them. And if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.